they'll lynch you. But he did, and he laughs at
Everybody, Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well. I'm back. Did you miss me? No, probably not. If you're new around here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe. I've been in Disney again, watching my daughter live her dream and perform at Disney to a standing ovation. So she did very, very well. But I'm absolutely exhausted. We've only a sort of whistle-stop tour, and I managed to still walk almost a marathon. So I am struggling. But I tell you what's not struggling: the transfer rumours. The transfer rumours are not struggling. Obviously, a couple of hours of sort of the breaking news, so to speak, of Harry Maguire. According to Jacob Steinberg, the Guardian's Jacob Steinberg, the deal for Harry Maguire is off because of complications and about the whole severance package and things like that. I think, between you and me, I think it's a bit of smoke and mirrors, but who knows? Because wasn't the JWP deal off and reported by Jacob, and then he's now in a West Ham shirt wearing a number 7 shirt and probably start against Chelsea. Anyway, as I always tend to do a bit of a rumour around it, the Rusty rumour around it, the original rumour rating as well. We're doing it recorded because I'm going to be probably asleep in a minute because you can see my eyes, they're already dropping. But I wanted to do a video because I haven't done one for a couple of days, and Anton Holly done a great job holding the fort in my absence. So I wanted to crack on. So let's get through it. Let's power through, my friends. Power through the transfer window with less than 15 days before the window shuts. So let's start, and let's start with a name that Jacob Steinberg name checked in the whole Harry Maguire thing. So according to Jacob Steinberg, the Maguire move is off, and as a result, Jonathan Tah, the Bayer Leverkusen defender, is being eyed as a viable option in the January transfer window. Obviously, we played against him the last game of the pre-seasons. I mean, you know, we all know it's not surprising. I think a lot of us like the look of Jonathan Tah. He's 27, so similar age to Zuma and Aguerd. He's big. German international. I mean, the Guardian reporter has said there's close contacts with obviously Leverkusen through Steindem, and he's apparently the ideal option. You know, superb player. He's big. He's probably going to still cost. I mean, we could have signed him for 15 million. He's probably going to cost about 17 million, so a lot cheaper than Maguire as well. Which means possibly we can move that. We'll have him for a few more seasons as well, possibly. Obviously, there's the unknown quantity. Can he move from, you know, the Bundesliga where he spent all his career to the Premier League? Physically, he's got the attributes, but whether that transpires, we'll see, innit? But I think he's a player that we've all sort of had an eye on in terms of the rumours, and it has been for a while. According to the Rusty rumour rating, the original rumour rating, I've given him a 7 out of 10. I had to count then, 7 out of 10. Still think this one could happen, and the Maguire thing pulling out. Obviously, there was the other Leverkusen centre back we were looking at as well, but I think Tah is the one. It's probably most similar to Maguire, and I think that's the type of defender that Moyes is looking for in Moyes Ball 2.0. Let's talk about forwards. Let's talk about a guy we've actually spoke about. I think I think it might have been last season a bit. The Feyenoord striker Santiago Guimarães. Apparently, according to Dutch news outlets, we are looking at him again. Obviously, originally we were looking at him and the Turkish midfielder Oku, but Jimenez, particularly with the signing of his Mexican counterpart, Edson Alvarez, could be one potential name that adds to the list coming to the end of the January transfer window. Obviously, we have the whole thing of Antonio and Saudi Arabia. Obviously, Skamaka's left as well. And apparently, according to the Dutch media outlet 1908.nl, we are making preparations to become more serious. Is that like when you go like steady as a boyfriend, girlfriend? He's 22. Last season, he got 28 goals and 3 assists in 50 games, so 31 goal involvements in 50 games. He does have a long-term contract But apparently we have requested information for him. His contract lasts in terms of 2027, so it's going to cost a pretty penny. I mean, I think originally we were looking at 30 million, so, but I think you're probably looking at 30 to 40 million, probably. But who knows in today's crazy market? I like the look of this lad. He's tall. He could probably fit the more. He doesn't really. Obviously, you're not going to get a like replacement for Antonio if he goes, but he's 22, so he ticks a lot of boxes for Steinden as well, and he's got a lot of experience. But again, strikers in West Ham haven't been very good in the last sort of 23 years. 51 forward players, I believe, we've signed, and over half of them haven't scored a goal. I'm going to give it 5 out of 10, 50-50 this one. I think by all accounts, the Brozier deal is off. Any move for Brozier, I think Chelsea are sort of keeping hold of him. There was a talk for maybe going to Milan, maybe, but I think what's his face, Pochettino's keeping him under wraps from going anywhere else for the time being. Let's talk about midfielders. I mean, midfielders are strange, isn't it? Because we've got lots of different midfielders. Obviously, we signed Alvarez, we signed JWP. I think the next one is if Paqueta goes, we know Sutic's not going because he signed a 4-year deal. But if Paqueta goes, then who comes in replacement? Obviously, Kudos is one player from Ajax we've been looking at. But there's several others. I mean, we've got Amrabat. It's the sort of the Amrabat move is still. I mean, it's not going to come to us really, but apparently West Ham have the most tempting offer yet for Amrabat, according to a couple of sources. We know Ten Hag wants him. Obviously impressed during the World Cup, and he remains an interesting target to consider. And also from West Ham, according to Guerrilla della Sport, if I put my teeth back in, they suggested it's a 2-horse race between us and Man United for the 26-year-old, and we know that he would prefer Man United. But then I think if you're sacking the two, notice again, taking our claret glasses off, if you've got two West Ham offer or Man United offer, Man United is going to be the one you go to for anyone, really, unless you've got some tie to West Ham. He's in his final year of contract at Fiorentina, but there is an option to extend it by another 12 years. 12 years, that'd be impressive. That's a West Ham contract, 12 months. So, I mean, apparently it's by all accounts, we've the only one who've made an offer of any sort, whether it's a verbal offer or an official one, I don't know. But apparently we made a verbal offer. Or some sort of offer, and it fell short of Fiorentina's demands. And the Serie A side do expect that West Ham needs to do something a bit more to tempt a sale in, so they expect us to come in for another bit. I don't think we will, to be honest, unless the Paqueta deal comes through. But then will we have 3? Because Amrabat very much is I suppose he can a bit more box to boxy, but when he's playing for Fiorentina, he was more of a true CDM. But then we've already got that now with Alvarez, so. Yeah, the original rumour rating gives the Amrabat deal a 2 out of 10. Not never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. I mean, the midfield is interesting, isn't it? Because I just don't see us. I mean, we'll talk about a player we've been linked to as well, but that's very much similar to if Paqueta goes. In terms of wingers. No, let's go for this guy. So I forgot in order. Josh Brownhill. We've mentioned Josh a few times last year, I think. Apparently, West Ham have opened talks to sign the Burnley midfielder, according to the Daily Express. It said that West Ham are looking for getting a third midfielder in. And it said that West Ham could lend us as a bargain in Brownhill, cashing in this summer of his contract, expecting to expire next summer. Apparently, other Premier League clubs have been in touch and holding interest in him. So we'll have to move fast if we want to get a deal over the line. Company actually dropped Josh for the opening game against Man City last Friday. So maybe that might mean that he's not in his plans, potentially, particularly for the opener. I think he plays best players. He did come on second half, though. Interesting signing. I mean, it's not exciting. It's not, I mean, but he's a solid player. He'd boost the squad in that sort of midfield position, particularly. He'd be an upgrade to someone like Connor Coventry, for example. Most definitely. Obviously, Flynn Downs going the other way, potentially, or hasn't been confirmed yet, but going to Southampton on loan. We may be a bit short in midfield, so Josh could come in. That's obviously, by the sounds of it, the Flynn thing was part of the parcel of the JWP deal. That wasn't sort of said explicitly. Good player. I mean, I think if the money's right, I think it's a no-brainer. Good squad player, and we need it. We need some, particularly if Paqueta goes. Not saying he's a direct replacement for Paqueta at all, but in terms of that three-man midfield, you've got Fornals, he can play there. And obviously, they were bringing a replacement for Paqueta, but just a bit more quality in there. And I think Josh is a good player. But again, wouldn't sort of, he's not like a superstar, but a very solid player, typical Moyes. I'll give it 3 out of 10 because I just think that at the moment, it's. I mean, I could see the stars aligning, but I think maybe Tim could getting a slightly more. A midfield with slightly more potential in terms of sell-on value and stuff like that. That's why I think. Let's talk about midfields. Let's talk about a guy I've got no chance of pronouncing his name. Apparently, one of the AC Milan players who has an uncertain future at present is Alexis Saelemaekes. That's no way have I said that right. According to journalist Sasha Cervello, Real Betis and West Ham are interested in a loan to buy deal for the Belgian winger. Apparently, he's part of our wish list. And for that right-hand position, right wing, and Milan are still trying to find a solution for the player, with more developments expected to come in the next few weeks. Don't know much about him at all. He's found himself down in the pecking order this season. Obviously, Milan have bought quite a few wingers at the moment. They bought Pulisic, and they signed Luka Romero on a free transfer, and Samuel Chukwueze from Villarreal. So they've got quite sort of overburdened in that situation. Obviously, we were looking at Charles Tageda, who's moved on, I believe, as well. He's due to move on. So there's obviously a whole raft of midfielders who are looking to get out of Milan, and maybe, not pronouncing his surname, Alexis could be one. That right-hand side at West Ham, that right wing is very much Bowen, and that's it. So a way to improve that side in terms of options, always useful, particularly if Moyes is, thinking about pushing Bowen up front. That right-hand side maybe needs 2 rather than 1 to cover Bowen. So anyway, the Rusty Rumour rating, the original Rumour rating gives this one a 2 out of 10. Just can't see it happening, mate. Just can't see it happening. Just seems a bit too random. But then you never know with West Ham, do we? We never know. Let's talk about Trevor Chalobah. Obviously, the news of the whole Jonathan Tah thing, Harry Maguire and Jonathan Tah maybe. By the sounds of it, Trevor Chalobah is someone who we could be looking at. According to Gianluca Di Marzio, he says that the price tag has dramatically fallen for Chelsea, centre back, and it could cost only £21.5 million to prize a defender away from Stamford Bridge. Inter Milan also looking at him, and they've apparently re-entered discussions. Jacob Steinberg said a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, that the original offer for Inter Milan was well short of the £45 million that they wanted, but apparently, the new cost could open the door for West Ham and Inter Milan to come back in for the defender. I mean, he definitely, you're thinking sort of a compromise between Moyes and Steinden. Chalobah is really, wealth of Premier League experience, and he's only 25, so potential sell-on value, particularly at 21, 22 million quid. That seems actually bargain. Surprised it's that low if that's true, but Gianluca Di Marzio is a decent journo. I think he's a good player. I mean, obviously he's homegrown as well, and I think it could be a nice compromise. So it's 24. My apologies, 24. I was just trying to find it. So yeah, and I mean he's very different to a Jonathan Tah. The fact is, Chalobah is very much a ball playing midfield. So he can play the midfield actually as well. It shows what a good player he is. But he's a bit more of a ball playing centre half. Would he fit in? Potentially could mean you move Zuma. If they're playing 3 at the back, Zuma could move into the middle, and then Chalobah could be on the right-hand side. Yeah. I mean, I can see it happening. I definitely think we're going to do some business with Chelsea, whether it's Chalobah, whether it's Martins, whether it is Gallagher. I don't think it's going to be Brozier, but it'd be one of them, I think, definitely. And obviously, you might see him tomorrow on Saturday. 5 out of 10 for me, 50-50. I think it's a 2-horse race between us and Inter Milan by the sounds of it. But I wouldn't be surprised if other clubs come in through him, particularly at that price. Let's talk about another midfielder. Now, this guy, he looks a bit like Luka Modric, doesn't he? Well, apparently, West Ham are interested in signing the Ren midfielder Lovo Maya as a possible replacement for Lucas Paqueta. That's according to the Daily Mail. He's a 25-year-old Croatian international and previously attracted the interest of multiple top clubs, including Barcelona. He is widely considered the next Luka Modric. The midfielder is praised for his attacking qualities and very much a similar style to Lucas Paqueta, actually. He's often deployed in similar roles to Lucas when playing in Ligue 1 for Rennes. Obviously, a Gaird's old club. Obviously, we were looking at Truffet as well. And move to West Ham would be a step up in his career, no doubt. Interesting one. He's a good player. He is a good player. And I think, actually, Edison, JWP, Maya comes in. It's not, I don't think that's a bad, I don't think it's a bad midfield at all. Obviously, having lofty comparisons with someone like Modric is, well, it puts you not on a pedestal, but it puts you in a certain bracket. I mean, I'm surprised he's still at Rennes, to be honest. Which, you think he's been at Rennes for a couple, you're thinking, why hasn't he moved on? That's like a lot of players, like Fofana. Why is Fofana still there? And why is this guy still there? I mean, JWP played at Southampton his whole life, didn't he? So, I mean, he's got 21 caps for Croatia, and that's growing. And every year is improving. I mean, if he was even half the player that Luka Modric was, he'd be doing very well as a career for whether it is at Rennes, whether it is at West Ham, wherever it is. But I think it could be really an interesting signing to get him. Very different sort of midfielders to what we've got. Very skillful, likes to run, likes a shot, and as I said, I think this type of play excites me. He really excites me. But then that means probably getting more because he excites me. A bit like Kudos from what's the name from Ajax. I'm going to give a 4 out of 10 because I just don't know. There's so many players have been linked to, and it's so many. So by a matter of process of elimination, I just don't think. I think by the sounds of it, Mohamed Kudus is going to be the one we get if Lucas does go, but we won't cover him because we've covered him enough. Let's talk about this guy. I don't know if you heard his name is called Jesse Lingard. His name is called Jesse Lingard. I haven't heard of this guy much. And we all know he's training at the club. We all know he's been training, potentially impending move to into Miami rather, to go back to play with Messi and Busquets. And potentially, isn't it Luis Suarez as well? But he has been training with West Ham. And according to Jacob Steinberg, there is a small possibility of him signing a short-term deal at West Ham. Maybe because of the way the MLS season works out, it might be a short-term deal before he goes next season to the MLS, maybe. It's the one that is so funny. I just love the fact you wouldn't get a transfer window without Jesse Lingard turning up. He or should not be. I mean, he was the original. He or should not be named. But Jacob Steinberg has claimed that there's a small chance he could re-sign on a short-term low. Obviously, he spent his half a season with us during the 2021 season, and was brilliant. 9 goals in 16 games. Then there was the whole hoo-ha. He's signing, he's not signing, he's signing, he's not signing. Went to Forest. Didn't do nothing. Nothing, really. Incredibly poor during the last season. And, ain't going to happen, is it? Hopefully not. I just don't think so. You never, as Dan Fandango says, you never fall in love with a lone player, and so that's why he gets a 1 out of 10 for me. Just can't happen. And that's it, my friends. Hammer's Headlines will be back a bit later on tonight. I'm gonna have a bit of a kip because I'm knackered. Any breaking news, if I'm awake, I'll bring it to you. Anyone else he pulled out of? We haven't even spoken about the Fabianski interview yet. We might do that separately, or we might do it at Hammer's Headlines. But yeah, Fabianski speaking out of losing his place God, it's like he's taking his ball and run with it. It's like players like get so pretentious, but I suppose it's their livelihood, isn't it, really, as well? But anyway, if you like what we do, give it a comment, give a comment, share. We'll be starting probably Wednesday, Thursday, all the run up to the Chelsea game at the weekend. Loads of good stuff coming up. We'll be back. We're all like fighting fit. Hopefully, me, Anton, and Holly for the Chelsea game moving forward. The Bournemouth game was a bit of a damp squib on the channel, in all honesty, because I was away, Anton was away, Holly wasn't well, so it's like Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble. See you soon. Much love. Bye bye.